Good evening, everybody. This is the July 19th, 2022 Commission on the City Plan meeting. Just a reminder that it is being audio and video recorded. We don't have any members of the public as of right now, but just for voting, if you could do a roll call, say your name when you're voting, please. Going to start this. We should be good to go.
All right, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the meeting, as Dan said, of July 19th, 2022. We do have a quorum. We have 5 members present, and I want to welcome our newest member, Ella Miles. Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, new member.
And
Great to have you here.
Congratulations.
well, condolences.
Stop it.
Hey, I served on city council, so you know.
Yeah, that's even worse.
Stop.
So we have a full panel. We have 5 members and all 5 of us are here tonight. Before we do the actual approval of minutes, there is an addition for the agenda this evening that I'd like to get a motion to amend the agenda to add this matter on. If you want to tell us what it is. Deanna.
Sure. So earlier today, I sent you all another referral from the council that happened last night. It's an ordinance appropriating $3,350,000 for the planning, design, and construction to replace. Oh, excuse me, that's the wrong one. Wrong one. Hold on. Where's
A lot more money than that.
It was the school one. I just gotta find it here. I put it out. Now I can't find it. Darn it. Hold on.
Do you have a
I
copy
have
on
it.
the,
I can come run to the office. Do we
Here it
have
is.
it?
Do you have
I
a
sent it
copy
to you.
on the?
Okay, here it is. It's
computer?
on the screen here. An ordinance appropriating $385 million for the City of Norwich School Construction Program, including property acquisition, design, engineering, environmental assessment and remediation, construction, installation, repair, renovation, and addition of various school facilities, and authorizing the issuance of $385 million bonds to the city to meet said appropriation, and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowing for such purpose. And it's on the screen for people that can see it. I know that there's anyone calling in. Is there this? Okay, so good. So you can all see it. So we want to add that to the agenda. We will put that as item D, if that's okay, under new business.
Yeah, can I have a motion to add that matter to the agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
So who made the motion? Les?
Yes.
And second by Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Mike.
Hi.
All right, so that matter is added to the agenda. The next order of business would be approval of the minutes from the May 17th, 2022 meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes?
Move approval.
Okay, so we have a motion from Mike Lahan to approve those minutes. Do we have a second?
No, second.
Second by Les. All in favor? Are there any additions or deletions or discussion for the minutes? Hearing none, then all in favor of the approval? Aye.
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 Okay, so those minutes are approved.
Does Ella, would you like to abstain?
No, I read through them. I'm fine.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so the minutes are approved. Next matter, communications. Do we have any?
Real quick. So you have an older communication, which was a referral for zoning amendment, and this came from Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments. The town of Franklin was going to establish a temporary 180-day moratorium on cannabis. And again, they're hearing for that. Actually, their hearing was today, July 19th at 7:30 p.m. Staff looked at this and we have no concerns about their moratorium. So that was that.
Anything else?
Another one, hold on, this was a little older, but we didn't need, I don't think this one. So this was from Sprague, the same thing. It was a referral from Sprague. This was back in April, and opt out of allowing as of right detached accessory apartments on lots with single family dwellings, and they already had their public hearing. And again, we didn't feel that that had any effect on the city of Norwich.
Okay. So If there's no other communications, then we'll move on to new business. The first matter being a referral from the city council, an ordinance appropriating $3,350,000 for the planning, design, and construction to replace a water main along Caribou Drive and Lawler Lane in the city, authorizing the issuance of $3,350,000 revenue bonds of the city secured solely by water revenue to meet said appropriation, and authorizing the city and Department of Public Utilities to enter into grant and loan agreements and a joint resolution with the state of Connecticut with respect thereto.
So tonight, Larry Sullivan is here if anyone has questions from NPU. Normally, when it's a referral, we don't take testimony unless you absolutely want to hear from. Since NPU is an agency of the city, you could look at them as staff if you would like to speak with Larry Sullivan. I will tell you that in our plan of conservation development, I always look at that for when you have referrals and from the council, and I found that under the support community structure section of the managed utility infrastructure chapter of the current plan of conservation and development, there's strategy 1 that specifically states that the city provide for adequate water infrastructure to meet community needs and support desired growth patterns. So this ordinance does that. And I think it meets that strategy on our plan of conservation and development. But if you have any questions for me or Larry Sullivan, we're here.
And of course, the referral is, we're just voting to recommend approval or not to the city council.
So it's basically your unfavorable or favorable referral regarding the ordinance.
I would-
So any discussion about that matter? There being no discussion, does anybody want to make a motion on that ordinance?
I'll make a motion to make a favorable recommendation to that ordinance appropriating the, is it $3.35 million?
$3,350,000, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion to recommend favorable referral. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so that's a second from Ella. And any discussion at this time?
May I state it's for the reasons that it supports those reasons in the plan of conservation? Kathy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. Hearing no other discussion, then all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? So the matter is referred favorably to the city council.
Thank you.
Second matter is another referral from the city council. It's an ordinance appropriating $500,000 for the cost of planning a lead copper service line replacement program in the city of Norwich, authorizing the issuance of $500,000 revenue bonds of the city secured solely by water revenue to meet said appropriation, and authorizing the city and the Department of Public Utilities to enter into grant and loan agreements and a joint resolution with the state of Connecticut with respect thereto. Deanna?
Yep, so for the exact same reasons as the previous referral, if you would like to make a favorable recommendation, I think you can find support under the community support community structure section of the managed utility infrastructure chapter in our current POCD. Strategy 1 specifically states that the city provide for adequate water infrastructure to meet community needs and support desired growth patterns. And this definitely, the replacement of these lines do meet those requirements, and I think it does help the community. So if you want to use that as a reason, you may.
Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, does somebody want to make a motion on this referral?
Yeah, I'll make a motion for a positive referral for all the issues stated in accordance with the plan of conservation and development.
Okay, and do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so the motion was by Les, the second is by Mike. Any discussion at this time of the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody in opposition? I don't think so. So that matter is also referred with a positive referral to the city council.
Thank you very much.
Next matter is a referral from the zoning board of appeals pursuant to zoning regulation section 710(2.5). The ZBA use variance request number V22-4 relating to 215 Ferguson Avenue, AKA Forest View Drive.
So as required by our zoning regulations, use variances, which are the most difficult for the ZBA to approve because of the use tables and allowing uses that we, because we're very specific, use tables are a permissive, regulations are permissive. So uses are a variance that's not something that should be granted very without a lot of thought and making sure that the hardship criteria is met. And in our regulations, because of that, we refer that to this commission for their consideration and recommendation towards the ZBA because you are the authority on the regulations. Although the council is the zoning authority, you do approve site plans and special permits based on the use table. So 215 Ferguson Avenue, if you want to show a little bit more on this, this was a project that was approved many years ago. I don't have, let me see if it says the year that it was originally approved. So the development plan was approved March 20th, 2001 as site development plan 838. And so this expired. Don't forget that our zoning regulations allow for original 5 years, and then you can get additional 9 years. So you maximum 14 years total. So in 2015, this would have been expired. So the condos were partially built out. They built out several of these buildings, but they did not build out a few of these buildings. So if we go for the variance request, I'm just going to read it for anyone that's listening in. The applicant is requesting a use variance to permit the use of the premises for construction of single-family condominium units. The applicant is the holder of the remaining declaration rights for Forest View Estates, which is a common interest community first declared August 15th, 2002 with the site development plan approved March 20th, 2001 as site development plan 838. Forest View Estates was declared when the property is located within the industrial park zone, which permitted residential construction. The property is now zoned business park, which does not permit residential construction. Without a use variance to permit residential construction, the applicant cannot build out the remaining units. So then it's, I will go over the hardship if you would like me to read it. It's here. The applicant's hardship is a combination of several factors. First, the property is located in the business park zone, which does not permit residential use. And when the Forest View Estates project was built, the property is located in the industrial park zone, which permitted it residential use. The applicant is the holder of the remaining declarant rights and seeks to construct the remaining 24 units the declarant Forest View Estates recites. Each unit is restricted to residential use as single-family residence, including home professional pursuits. A single-family residence is defined as a single housekeeping unit operating on a nonprofit, non-commercial basis. Therefore, the property can only be used for residential purposes, which was permitted within the IP zone. The property cannot be used for commercial and/or industrial uses permitted in the business park zone. Further, the declarant's only rights on the declaration are to declare and construct single-family residences. The applicant's hardship is not one that is self-created, but as a result of the change in zone, which prohibits the only use which the subject property can be put. Should the board grant this use variance, again, this is not you, this is the ZBA, it would be the applicant's intention to apply for site plan approval for construction of condominium units which meet current design criteria of the zoning regulations. So this condominium, the way it's laid out, does not necessarily meet our criteria, but furthermore, so, you know, but they recognize that and they would come back with something that would meet the criteria of today to get their 24 units. However, this board needs to remember that, you know, zoning regulations and zones change and they have a right to change and the city changes them for reasons and they do create non-conforming uses. And had this developer built out his condominiums, that when he had the time frame to do that, he would have the rights to do that. They would be existing non-conforming. He did not build them out in that time frame and is now looking for developing them. So from a planning perspective, I think we need to look at specifically that the city changed the zone and eliminated single family use there, residential use in the business park zone. However, it's really for the ZBA to decide, but the recommendation from the council is really how you feel about that, that allowing a use to occur in a zone where it's no longer permitted, and that the developer had a right, but they gave up their right by not developing in the time frame that they were allowed to. So that's all I have to say about it.
So, my feeling is that I would recommend a favorable referral personally. I'm pretty familiar with that area. Even though it's in the business park, if you go back to those condos, there's nothing really back there besides the condos. It's kind of a lot by itself. That block in front of it is a large commercial industrial building. I forget who's in there now. But behind it, it's really, if you're not going to put the condos in there, I don't know what you would put back there.
So can I answer it? My feeling is that they don't put anything, that they have open space there because the developer didn't build out the project. I just want to tell you that as a planning perspective, you don't necessarily have a right to develop all of your land. You have a right to develop your land as that you are permitted to, and they were permitted. They didn't use that or exercise it. So, you know, I think the argument that you can't build businesses there, I think they're right. It doesn't make sense in the middle of the neighborhood. However, you know, the right to develop remaining units that they didn't build out in time, I think is something you need to weigh heavily. But I hear you, Frank, and I acknowledge that.
So Deanna,
My gut would be to refer it positively to ZBA and let them make their decision.
so Deanna, can you tell me again how long it's been since they got their approval
They were
originally?
approved in 2001,
So that's 21 years ago.
21 years.
And
I
when did
know
they-
that, you know, I can't speak for them and I don't know this, but I can tell you a lot of developers are coming in trying to up things that they never built before and do things because the economy is hot and housing is hot right now. So all this time that the developer could have done that, they did not.
I have a question for you.
Mhm.
When we changed the zone in
Yep.
2001, or no, when did we change the zone?
I have to find out when the zone actually changed to business.
Yeah.
I don't have that information.
Did they come and speak opposed to it?
I have no answer on that.
Yeah, I mean, really, they had a period of time that they could have spoken against this. And if the commission approved it, they had the right to appeal it. So I kind of get where you're coming from. Yeah, I also understand where Frank's coming from too, because there's really not a lot they could do back there except for leave it as open space if we don't.
Personally, I'd rather
recommend.
see it developed and have some income or some property taxes coming in on it. It's a little more significant than a piece of open space.
Well, there's a little, I'm not 100% behind you on that one, Frank, but I have another question. What is the density of the current units per acre here?
Kathy, they did not provide that, but I can tell, how many units do you know are there now? Do we have an idea? Let's see, if I look at this drawing here, does it show everything? Let me see.
This is the remaining.
Yeah,
That they
these
would
are
wanna
the
build.
units that they didn't get. So,
Right.
yeah, and there's.
I want to say, is there 20 something
I would
units
say
there?
Yeah,
there's
that's-
probably around 20 units there.
So they probably built out half then, I would say at this point. So, but what they're proposing is to come in with a different design, to come in with design that meets today's standards, which, like has more green space and the way the doors are and things like that. So I do have to say that I'm comfortable that they don't, if they did get the variance, it wouldn't just necessarily build out this exact plan. It would be to get the number of units, but necessarily design it better to be today's standards.
Well, and I can tell you, I've been in those units, and they're nice looking units. So
Mhm.
that's all I can say.
But again,
What is, so you think there's like 20 or
we're looking
25
right now.
units there? And then what's the acreage?
There's
Hold on.
18,
We're
1 through
counting.
18, and then 44 through 56.
So 44, that's 12, and you said 12, that's
18.
30, right? 30, and there's 4 more over there. Did you count those 4?
Yep. So it's 30.
There's 30 right now, so.
And what's the
the
acreage of,
Looks down to the.
let's see, wait a minute. Is
It's
it in the application?
8.62 acres. So that would be what, 54 units total then, because they want to do.
24.
Is that what they said here? 24. You hear
Okay,
that, Kathy?
So there'd be about, if they were approved and built, there would be about 54 units on 8.6 acres
so now there is 30 units
on
Mhm.
8.6
On-
acres.
8.6.
Because it's
So
all
that-
one lot.
So, right, no, I know.
Can I ask this, can I ask this question?
Sure.
If we don't allow them to do this,
Sorry, Mike.
because of the change in the zoning regulations,
What was that, Mike?
I'm sorry?
I didn't hear what you said.
Okay. Is there an argument here that because of the change of zone, they can make no reasonable use of the property because there really is nothing that they can do that fits it into the new
Business.
zoning area?
Right.
There's
I
nothing that they
disagree
can
with
do
you
because
on
of-
that because this is an 8-acre parcel and I'm just playing devil's advocate. This is an 8-acre parcel. They have reasonable use with 30 units on it. So what they want to do is maximize it. If they did come before the commission or the council opposing the zone change, if they appeal the zone change, I could see that argument. But I think they already have reasonable use of their property.
Okay.
Do you agree, Deanna?
Yes, and that's the point is that, and and the people living here, whether, again, I don't know them, I'm just speaking, it's like you get used to if you bought in 2001, 2002, and they didn't build out over all these years, and now they're going to be potentially impacted by construction and development on their site, that they may feel that that is green space at this point because the developer did not, within the time frame and it expired, they never did anything else. So there could be some false sense of, hey, this is our open space because they didn't ever do anything and it's expired.
I don't really think that that's a very cogent argument because if there had never been a zone change, these people would be building there now. So it's the issue of the zone change that raises the question about the use. I don't think the expectations of the people who live there. I mean, they may have bought it expecting that there was going to be all these buildings around them.
No,
But
hear
I
you,
think
Mike.
what we have to consider with a zone with a use variance or any variance is, are they being denied reasonable use? That's what the law says. Are they
Right.
being denied reasonable use of their property? The answer is simple here. And even though they had approval to have those additional units, they have reasonable use of the property. So
Well,
I
that's your opinion, Kathy.
what?
That's your opinion.
No, right, but they have 30 units on 8 acres. That's a reasonable
And
use,
they've got a lot of open space there.
right?
My feeling is they ought to have the right to develop the rest of that space.
Mhm.
And I think ZBA ought to make the decision and not us. I think we should.
But I think we
hand it
need
over and
to,
Let them make their decision. They're gonna make it
need-
one way or the other.
But they do weigh the
I know.
decision of this commission.
Yeah, they do.
right.
I have a question. I mean, yes, there was a zone change, but they were originally approved for this in 2001. What did they do for 21 years? And, it expired in 2015. So that's still 7 years. So what have they been doing about getting, used to build the additional units? I mean, even sitting on city council, I don't recall this, coming before us. So what have they been doing? I mean, are they waiting to capitalize on, oh, hey, now we can make money, because there's a housing boom, because then it does become a personal issue where they do have, a personal interest in it. So,
Isn't that what we're in the business of doing, is trying to make a development in the city and not deter development? And increase our grand list and not minimize it? I mean, I don't know about you, but I'd rather see my taxes go down because somebody else is paying more taxes.
But I think as a planning commission, we really ought to look at what the law says. And in my opinion, that's just my opinion. I know, Frank. In my opinion, they have reasonable use of the land. It's only 8 acres. It's not like it's 50 acres. They have 8 acres and 30 units. That's a lot. I think, I know a lot of people want to, I mean, I see they have a lot of open space land there. I get that, but I don't, and Ella, if you were you on the council when they did the comprehensive rezoning?
actually, I just got off council this last election. So,
How long have you been on?
I was only on for 1 term.
Oh, okay, so
No,
you were
recent,
not on
yeah.
the council. So, I don't know.
But even then, they didn't come back to ask for any of this. So why have they just been sitting on this space for 2 decades?
Because it hasn't been commercially feasible to do anything since then. I mean, it's a simple issue.
Well,
It's about money.
yeah, it's about money. And, you know, in all the years that I've been thinking about this, one of the things that ought to be used very rarely is the use variance, because it does have, it does have serious ramifications. And once you start it, in some places, it's difficult to stop. So, we could argue about whether or not this is reasonable use or not, but they've had a chance for 20 years to build it. The world changes, and just because they might be able to get financing now and couldn't get financing 20 years earlier, isn't a hardship. So, I can't really see any reason to give it to them after all these years. Things have changed, and they're developers, and they have to know that things will change, and there's nothing sacrosanct about zoning regulation.
I think what we are overlooking, though, is the fact that the property has been declared as condominium units, and regardless of zoning, that's the only use they can put to it.
Well,
Right, but that's not our issue. Our issue is, do they have a hardship?
Well,
Do they have, our issue is, does this fit in? And really, I don't see the hardship.
Well, I think the
That's all my
hardship is
opinion.
that's the only thing they can do there, and if they can't do, then are they being denied the reasonable use? I
No.
think they are. So
Yeah, I
if there's
disagree.
no other discussion, I'm going to put this to a vote.
Okay,
Uh,
I will make a motion to recommend against the zone, the use variance. Because they currently have they currently have reasonable use of their property.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second by Ella. Any other discussion at this point? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, which is to send a unfavorable recommendation, say aye.
I
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay.
So 4-1.
4-1.
Frank, I totally understand where you're coming from too.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a toss of a coin, but really, if you
There's
look
nothing
at the
up
law.
there, and there's nothing else to do, and they would fit in perfectly if you went up and looked at it.
Yeah,
So anywho, so the next matter is the next referral to the city council on the matter that we added to the agenda, which is an ordinance appropriating $385 million for the city of Norwich school construction program, including property acquisition, design, engineering, environmental assessment and remediation, construction, installation, repair, renovation, and addition of various school facilities, and authorizing the issuance of $385 million of bonds of the city to meet said appropriation, and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose. That's the ordinance that we're being asked to make a referral on.
All right, I have a question. Is there anyone here to present what they're doing?
No, so this came about last night at closer to the end of the council meeting. It's got referred and it's on their August 1st meeting. So they voted to refer it, and then I was like, whoa. So I ran up to the clerk and said, you know what, the CCP is just meeting tomorrow. So there was no one there, even I don't believe from the schools last night. No one was representing it last night at the council either. So that had already been
But
discussed at a
it's an
previous meeting.
August 1st informational.
Here's my problem. I am not
have the
100% supportive of this.
Yep.
I think somebody needs to present it to us.
Well, they had an informational in front of the council two meetings ago, not last
Right.
night, the meeting before that.
Right, but
And
they should come before us too and explain it to us, because I'm not 100% behind this at all. I've read everything that's been in the paper.
so
That's all we really know
I
about
guess
it.
my
is what's in
question for
the-
you as a commission would be, would you be willing to hold a special meeting between now and August 1st, which is just next week, to have someone, if I could get someone here to be at a meeting, a special meeting for you to discuss this?
I don't think this is really fair. I mean, I get the time frame. They're under time. What's the problem with the time frame?
Is the August 1st deadline so that they can put it on the November ballot?
I think.
Yeah, I
so.
think it has to do something with
Yes.
making the referendum deadline.
Yeah.
So if it's not, and if we don't make a referral, what happens? If we just defer it, they can still act on it, correct?
I
Does
think
it
they
need
can
a
act, I think it needs a
supermajority
super,
then?
I think it needs a super majority. Ella, do you know if it needs a super majority?
Yeah, it needs a supermajority.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
If we don't act on it.
But would you be willing to act on it if we could get someone to come, and I don't know who that would be necessarily, but if we could get someone to come and have a special meeting next week to do this?
Yeah,
I mean, I can't do it on Tuesday night. That's the only thing. I would be willing to meet, but I think this is a really important issue for the community. I think that we deserve more than this the day before our meeting.
I don't disagree with you, Kathy, that, there really is nobody to give us the information. Just assuming we've read about it in the newspapers. is
Right.
not a
Yeah,
good
and
thing
there's-
to do.
And there's way more involved than what the newspaper is showing, because this came up when I was on my term. So this is relatively new. And the bottom line is the cost to invest in doing the school construction program actually is beneficial over the next 20-year period versus the cobbling and repairing of our existing structures. That the cost for doing that far outweighs the new construction.
That's because of the reimbursement rate from the state for the new construction.
Yeah, the state is picking up a large portion of this. This would be the city's responsibility. Because the current state of our current elementary schools, they're in poor shape. All of the HVAC systems need to be redone. We're forever redoing boilers, replacing roofs. The buildings are just not equipped for the number of students that we have. The buildings, they're aged beyond reasonable repair.
Huntington School, that's my problem. I just
Well-
think that Huntington School is one of the neighborhood schools that has been a neighborhood and stayed a neighborhood school. That's where my problem comes in.
Well, one of the things here is I think it's not, they want to get this thing to referendum. They're going to have to do their own educational programs for the public. The public's going to have a hard time swallowing $385 million
Absolutely.
in this economy.
even
So
though,
I don't think that it's our job to spend 14 hours trying to figure out whether this is a good plan or not. The council needs a recommendation one way or the other. And I mean, it's easy to say that, whatever this plan is whatever this committee is that it fits within the plan of development because, it works to improve the educational facilities in Norwich and hopefully make us more attractive town for people with kids to raise them in. And, and that we might have an issue with, one school or another school or building or renovation. I don't think that's our job.
Right.
And I don't want to spend hours going through all of this plan.
but I do think it is our job to understand what is going on.
Well, how long is it going to take us to understand what's going on? I mean, I've read about it in the newspaper, you have. I mean, how long are you willing to sit and listen to somebody talk? Do we want the people from the committee? Do we want all the architects? I mean, do we want all the justification for all the students?
No, I
I
just
think
would like
that
to
is
hear
our
a
public-
presentation. I mean, we got it today or yesterday. I just have a little
Okay.
problem with it.
So I will tell you that looking at the plan of conservation development, should you want to pass on a favorable referral for this, in the provide for community facilities section of the promote livability chapter of the current adopted POCD, there's a strategy number 2 that says the city should continue to evaluate and prioritize municipal facility issues and needs. So that's what it would fall under. Kathy, I hear what you're saying. I would be listening to Frank to tell me what you want to do if you wanted to hold a special meeting, but you need to tell me who you want here to explain, because I don't want to be chasing around, Dan and I trying to figure out who you want to hear from again, like
Well,
Michael said.
who's the one that put the project together?
I think the
There was a
presentation was done
committee,
by
wasn't
there was the architects were there and it was a committee that was there a couple weeks ago. And there's a presentation that was made, and I would imagine that it would be online, don't you think, that
It is.
presentation, there's a presentation online. I don't know if
Or-
you feel more comfortable
That's fine
watching
with
that
me. We don't
presentation.
need to have a special meeting, but I know I just, that's fine.
I don't think really a special meeting is feasible between now and August 1st to get people together and to get a presentation to us and that type of thing. And I tend to agree with Mike that, really the issue for us is, does this bonding fit in, or do the school improvements fit in with the plan of conservation and development?
And I think that the final answer has to come with this thing on a referendum.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's where
I
it's gonna
agree.
be eventually, one way or the other, whether it's this November or some other time.
Right.
But,
So,
I'm willing to entertain any motion anybody wants to make.
I'm willing to make a motion that we respond to the city council and approve it because without making a judgment on the merits of the proposal, that it fits with our planning and development because of the development of the municipal facilities and educational systems in the city of Norwich. And if we can say it that way, we give them the approval, but we let them know that we are not judging the merits of the bond issue itself.
Mike, can you clarify that again with how the motion would be, just because we'd be writing that up? So are you saying to make a favorable recommendation, or you just say a
I would say
recommendation?
we make a favorable recommendation
Yep.
to the city council,
Yep,
not on the basis that we are condoning the project, but on the basis that we think it fits in with the city of Norwich's plan of development with those areas that you
Yeah.
suggest.
okay.
Because I certainly don't want to look like I'm condoning this project. But I need to hear what needs to be said. And I don't think any of us can do that in an hour or two.
Okay, so we have Mike's motion. Does anybody want to second it?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a second from Kathy.
No, not for me.
That was Ella.
That was Ella.
I'm sorry.
Ella.
I thought it was Kathy. My
No.
mistake. So we have a second from Ella. Any further discussion at this point? Hearing none, I will put it to a vote. All in favor of the motion as put by Mike to favorably recommend the ordinance, but without condoning or approving the merits of the projects themselves. All in favor of the motion?
All right,
Aye.
I,
And I'm still thinking, because I get that motion. That's a good motion.
All right, so
Uh.
anybody opposed?
I think I'm going to oppose. No, I'm going to, I'll vote in favor of that because I get that, Mike. Mike, that was a good way to put it.
Okay,
Okay.
so it's a unanimous vote on the motion then, and the matter is referred
Yep.
with a favorable recommendation to the city council without condoning the merits of the project.
Not on the basis that we're condoning the project, but that it meets. the-
Because we don't have enough information.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so that's done. Do we have any old business, Deanna,
No,
or extension requests,
no.
or bond reduction or release requests?
We thought we would have some. I don't have it for tonight. I will have for your next meeting.
Okay, and you have on the agenda the POCD meeting overview. Do
Yeah.
you want to address that?
Yeah, a quick one. We had a good meeting, I think, about the POCD. We kicked it off. We provided a timetable. If you need that, we can, is that on our website? Do we have a POCD yet? Remote meetings on that? No. So we'll set it up so you'll have Dan created the calendar. We introduced SLR, Robert Collins, and he is our consultant that's working with us. We spoke about community outreach. The council last night did approve $20,000, which is what we were working to get with NCDC to provide a web-based community
Outreach tool.
outreach tool that we can use, and we can be able to create surveys on there, do all kinds of informationals. It links to our website. It's monitored. The one that we really liked, we sat through several different presentations. It's monitored 24/7, so people can comment on things, but it doesn't end up being bogged down like Facebook with negativity. If people want to comment, they will take those comments, and they keep track of things that are being said, either in surveys or just, in the commentary. And if it's problematic, they will basically hide that from the public, but keep it for us. So we still get those, that input from the public, but it doesn't start the jargon of negativity. And it'll say, hey, that we're not discussing that as part of this survey or something, but would you like to comment on it? So it's monitored and it keeps it fresh and clean. They used it in Groton for their plan of conservation and development. They used it in Manchester. Excellent tool. It's it's cool. The program that we like is Bang the Table, it's called. But we're going to go probably out to RFQ, or if our finance department has their say in it. So, but we did look at other programs as well, but that's the one we like. And it's $20,000 for the year. It's $20,000 per year, but we want to try it out as a test run this year. And if it works for the city in multiple uses for community engagement, we might continue it and ask for money to continue it. But we're finding that even grant applications, there's a huge grant program, CIF 2030, that we're going to be submitting. It's millions, multi-millions of dollars that we can submit applications for. There's only certain communities that are eligible. So we would be able to, get that community outreach. What should we be going for projects? So we're going to use it for multiple things, including downtown for the improvements to the Yale study of doing some work downtown. So anyways, we talked about this at the plan meeting, and so we sort of kicked it off. This commission, as well as the members that are on the committee, tomorrow from Dan, will be getting an email right tomorrow with the survey. This is because we want to get your comment back. We're at a quick time frame because I'm going to go to the Peruvian Festival this weekend, and we're going to have the survey in English and Spanish on paper because we don't have it ready in the Survey Monkey and in the QR code. So I'll have paper versions of it. So we're sending it out. We'll give you to the end of the day on Thursday to look at the survey. We're also going to send you SLR's It's basically a link to all their different
It's like a reference sheet of other
Reference
plans.
of
they've
the
worked on
plans that they've
recently.
done. You can look at POCDs that they've done. And then we're also going to provide you a list of the committees and the departments and the agencies that we're going to be soliciting information from for a plan of conservation development. And Dan and I have scheduled, starting on Wednesday afternoons, we're going to be meeting with different departments for like an hour at a time, maybe longer if it's something more important, but we're going to be reaching out. So you'll see the list of who we're going to reach out to. And if we're missing anybody, put it on there.
Yeah, it's
Or
a stakeholders list.
Yeah, exactly. Great stakeholders list. And then again, the questionnaire, if you feel like there's a question we shouldn't ask or something we're missing, we still want to keep it. How many questions is it? About 35?
Yeah,
It's about
Which is-
35.
I don't really want to have more than that. I
Yeah.
don't want it
So
to be
if
too
there's
long.
something you really want, like make a note that something we should remove. So, okay. But yeah, I think it was a really productive meeting and we're super excited about the plan. I think it's going to be, an engaging process and that's it.
Sounds good. I have a question for you. Did we ever do our affordable housing plan?
We did. It was adopted by the council. Yep.
Oh, they adopt the plans?
Yep.
Yeah, in April, I want to say.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that they
We
would.
brought it
be
to
the
you
one.
guys to look. I think we brought it to the commission. I don't know if you were here, Kathy. We brought it to talk to the commission about it and then brought it to the council. Yeah. It was adopted.
All right.
Anybody have any other questions or issues or discussion?
So does the planning, the CCP, we don't approve the plan of conservation and development?
No, you will.
Yeah, we do next year.
Yeah, we'll come
So
before you to present it at key milestones, but the
So-
POCD committee is the working group.
So the affordable housing plan, isn't that part of the plan of conservation and development? I don't,
No.
It's a separate document.
Yeah,
no, I know, but why would that require council approval and not?
because
The
statutorily,
state required it.
yeah, it doesn't have to be,
Really?
it's what I think what it kind of said is the legislative, it was some kind of legislative approval. So it was not the commission on the city plan that could approve the affordable housing. It had to go to
Oh,
the council.
Because we did it in Preston
Yeah.
with the planning
Yeah.
commission.
Well,
All right.
Norwich is
Yeah,
a little
different.
different how we do our
Right.
planning and
Right, it's
zoning stuff
different.
here.
All right, thanks.
Anybody else? Hearing nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion to adjourn. We got a second.
I'll
Okay.
second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
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 All right,
Thank
so
you.
we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for coming tonight and welcome aboard, Ella, and we'll see you next month, maybe.
Great. Good to have you, Ella.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Nice to see
Nice
you
to
all.
meet
Nicholas.
you.
Les, I sent you a meeting invite for tomorrow.